Welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers game previews here on Dolynny TV. As guys, today going for what? 5-6. That is a great pace if you're going to try and make the playoffs. Obviously, the math still complicated for our Edmonton Oilers at this point, but let's go take a look at the standings and maybe let's make ourselves breathe a little. Tonight it's the New York Rangers, then on Wednesday it is the New Jersey Devils, and then we head out on the road. But before we do that, guys, like I said, let's go check the standings here. You can't have a game preview this time of year if you aren't talking the wild card standings for the Edmonton Oilers. 68 games played. That leaves us with 14 games on the schedule to overcome what is, at this point, a 7-game deficit, or 7-point deficit, so 3.5 game deficit there from the Minnesota Wild. I mean, we're only 6 back of the Coyotes, 8 back of the Dallas Stars. The game is wide open for our team to go out there and win a bunch to get this done. Obviously, you go 40, 35, and 7, or 40, 34, and I don't know, 8. All of a sudden, you're looking at a team that might just squeak into the playoffs with some stupid amount of points like 87 or 88. Now, I know it's asking a lot to go out and win 10 of the next 14 games. Yes, it's the Edmonton Oilers. We've been here. We've done that a million times over. We beat it to death this season. But tonight against the New York Rangers, who I mean by all accounts really are nowhere near a playoff spot, haven't been for a long while at this point. They're 500, but that's because they've got 12 overtime losses this year. So you account for, yeah, I mean, if they didn't take a lot of games to overtime, right? Suddenly, they are a lot of games below 500 and a lot of points away from a playoff spot. Somehow still not the worst team in the East by any stretch of the imagination. But guys, the New York Rangers, a weaker opponent. Their goal differential of -28, 196 goals for, 224 against. See, the Oilers only have 221 against, or 224, or 221 against, yeah, and 192 against. So actually, hold on, I was doing the math funny. Our goal differential is worse than theirs by 1. So hold on, if you want to go out and explode, tonight would be a good idea. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Alex Chiasson, Jujhar Khaira, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Brad Malone, anyone who's in the lineup tonight. And let's get to that lineup, courtesy of Jack Michaels, who will have your play-by-play call on 6:30 CHED this evening between the Oilers and the Rangers. Draisaitl, McDavid, Kassian, the top line reunited. I know for the past, 3 nights, it's been a variation, right? It's either been Nuge or Draisaitl up there on the top line and somebody's driving the second line. And we've seen that work to a varying degree of success for our team so far in the past 3-4 games. Now you've got Khaira, RNH, and Gagner. So we're getting back to the Khaira and RNH kind of combo, and it works well. It really works well because the thing with Nuge is he's such an elite passer. Jujhar, if you get him going the right way, he'll get to the net, he'll bang the body, he'll do all the old school score in front, score from a sharp angle, kind of correct things. However, RNH has that ability to also do that while setting a guy up to do that. So for RNH, it's huge. And Gagner is that perfect third kind of pairing guy to that line. Remember, earlier in the year, it's been Jesse Puljujarvi, who was a big guy who pretty much got tossed out of the way, whereas Gagner is a guy who's got veteran presence. He's a guy who likes to kind of step into a weirder game, right? He likes to step up in a situation you don't exactly see it. And for a guy that's stepped in, that's exactly what I mean, is he's stepped into a weird situation and he stepped up. Yes, he's pacing at 41 points over an 82-game schedule, give or take a couple, but for Gagner, that's a massive improvement over Jesse Puljujarvi on that second line. So let's not pretend that maybe reuniting RNH and Khaira and then having Gagner on there might not just be the best combination all year. Then you've got Reeder, Cave, and Chiasson on the third line. So brand new look third line. We've tried Chiasson on the third line a couple of times. I believe, you know what, Colby Cave's out there to get something done tonight. You gotta believe that Colby Cave's out there to get something done tonight because he's going against a former team that he plays a little bit more often than he will now with the Oilers. And for Colby Cave, somebody maybe a little bit of familiarity in terms of preseason competition. I'm not sure because Colby Cave doesn't have a heck of a lot of prior NHL games in his career, but tonight he gets another one against the New York Rangers, and he's been quiet for the last little bit, so we're hoping he steps up and gets something going. And then you've got Brad Malone in for Ty Ratty. That means Milan Lucic is still out of the lineup at this point. Hey, what do you have of it? He was durable for a long while, even though he wasn't doing much, but now he's got the hip issue, and we'll see what that blows up into. Knowing the Oilers, that'll snowball into another Andrej Sekera situation, but he's supposed to be back against New Jersey, so we'll see. We'll see what happens, and we'll roll from there. Milan Lucic, we'll just shelf him for now, and we'll see what happens. And then you've got Brodziak and Curry up the middle. So Curry demoted to the fourth line, but that's because we have a little bit more depth to this NHL roster, bringing in Jujhar Khaira once again. And that's the weird thing to say, bringing in Jujhar Khaira brings in good depth for this team. Yeah, I know what you mean. And again, guys, to the point that a lot of you have tried to make about Andrej Sekera not really being a difference maker for the team, it's not the fact that he's a difference maker at all on the ice. Being on the ice is only symbolic to this team. There's no way you're going to get any production, any big minutes, any keys. Like, forget Andrej Sekera as a player on the ice. Andrej Sekera as a guy on the Edmonton Oilers symbolizes the comeback spirit, the get-it-done attitude, give it all for anything kind of attitude this Edmonton Oilers team has craved all year. And you see, since he's been back, that's exactly what they've had as a mentality as a hockey team. And there's a reason we're winning. Andrej Sekera, a big part of it, right? And it has nothing to do with him as a player on the ice, unfortunately. However, if we start seeing a little bit out of him offensively or defensively extra than we have in these past 9-10 games, we're going to be gold. We're going to be absolutely fine down the stretch to maybe win 10 of those next 14 games. Now, the deep pairings are Klefbom, Larson, Nurse, Russell, Sekera, Benning. Pretty standard, pretty set at this point under Ken Hitchcock. And then you've got Mikko Koskinen back in net. And guys, we cannot forget the absolute stellar help we got from Anthony Stolarz in that game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. How can you forget that performance? Stolarz, you know what? Yeah, he got beat on a couple ones where maybe Mikko Koskinen would have saved them. But he's your backup for a reason, right? We actually have a true backup that went out there and gave us one heck of a performance. Nothing we can hang our hats on and say, man, that was crap. Instead, we hang our hats and say, damn, a good goaltending effort. Offense didn't show up for 58.5 minutes, and somehow we almost had it tied at the end of regulation. So to take the positives of the Toronto Maple Leafs game, if you can capture and bottle that final minute 39, that final 2 minutes from the game against the Toronto Maple Leafs, take that over to tonight against the New York Rangers at home, where the hometown crowd is going to be a lot more boisterous, a lot more loud for the boys in copper and blue tonight. It's going to be a great time to be an Oilers fan at 7 o'clock Mountain Time all the way through to about 9:30, 9:45. Whenever that final buzzer goes at Rogers Place tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a good game, and I mean everything kind of coming together down the stretch for our Edmonton Oilers team, so you gotta believe we're going to get it done. However, what are kind of the keys? Obviously, New York's kind of shuffling the goaltenders the rest of the way home. They're trying to save Henrik Lundqvist, make sure he stays able to come back next year. Obviously, Hank's getting old, so you don't want to burn him out and then not be able to use them as much as you'd like to next year if you're trying to push for the playoffs or anything, depending on what New York decides to do this offseason. But for us, honestly, it's a must-win. Every game from here on out is a must-win. So you got to disregard. I mean, the New York Rangers could ice in a line of Sidney Crosby, John Tavares, and Steven Stamkos, and we still have to go out there and find a way to win tonight. That's as simple as it is for this Edmonton Oilers club tonight. You lost against Toronto. You now have to start another 4-5 game win streak. Make it easy on yourself the rest of the way home, and then start shaping the final 10, 11 games of the regular season, what our schedule, what our playoff chances are looking like. Guys, the big math we're looking for tonight is the Minnesota Wild are playing against the San Jose Sharks. Damn, I hate San Jose all to hell, but tonight we need a win out of those boys in teal. And down the Minnesota Wild, we need Chicago to win over top of Arizona, and then it gets smooth. It gets smooth from there. Carolina over top of Colorado. Please, hopefully, I'd love to see Carolina take their sellies to the old, good old, I'm telling you, good old playoffs. See what ends up happening there. And of course, then hopefully something good does happen for them. And we meet them back in the Stanley Cup final. No, we don't want to see that happen again because Mikko Koskinen is having too stellar of a year to be injured with a knee injury. However, let's disregard that. Let's get back on topic. A must win against the New York Rangers tonight, guys. A lot of standings help needed. Everybody ahead of us is playing except for the Dallas Stars, and that means a lot of trouble. But guys, that's where I'm going to leave you. We'll get streaming tonight, and we'll see how this one shakes out. I'm Tyson, this is Dolynny TV. Thank you for tuning in to today's game preview ahead of the New York Islanders and the Edmonton Oilers. I am up on out of here.